lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast that prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello and welcome to Werewolf by Night podcast, the podcast where we talk about Marvel's #1 lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Werewolf. I'm your host, Matt Howell.
And I'm Jacob Balcom.
And we're here to talk about the third issue of the Werewolf by Night title.
I'm really excited to talk about this issue.
It's an issue. It was...
I think it's safe to say that this is our first like truly batshit insane issue.
Okay. I didn't want to say it first.
I mean, I still loved it. Like I loved about 90% of this issue. I'll get into later, of course, what I didn't like. But for the most part, I was just like, this issue's insane.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was kind of so weird that sometimes I felt like it was just spirit writing. Like Conway just kind of clutched a pen and closed his eyes and just let the ether take hold.
It sure seemed like that for a while.
We have a striking Plug cover that is one of my early favorites, next to issue 1, actually. The werewolf is fallen back. He's aghast and agog. He's reeling away from this odd, glowing phantasm minotaur beast wielding a giant battle axe. And in the background, there's a hunchback, saggy-faced creep holding the Darkhold and pointing at the wolf, and he's manifesting this beast out of the pages of the Darkhold.
It's really cool looking.
And it says Mystery of the Mad Monk. I love this cover.
Yeah, it's great.
When you read Mad Monk, what do you think? We should probably talk about some of the stuff Conway was like, what we can expect going into this. Because I remember when I first read this issue, I had expectations based on what Mad Monk means to me.
Well, I mean, the thing that would come to people's mind first, I think, would be Rasputin.
Yeah.
And
can you do like a one paragraph, like if somebody doesn't know who Rasputin the Mad Monk is, like just where he fits in history and kind of why he's known, remembered?
Well, yeah, from what I remember, he was part of the court of the Tsar and Tsarina of Russia.
The Romanovs.
And the Romanovs from around the turn of the century to, when they died, I think in 1919, I think, or 16.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Them or him? He died in 1916.
Yeah, he died in 1916. Then, yeah, the Romanovs, I think, were killed in 1919. But, yeah, don't quote me on any of this. But, yeah, so he was a charlatan. He was a spiritualist and kind of, gained favor, especially with the Tsarina. And he was famous for being killed multiple times in one night.
Yes, he was. He had a lot of sway over the Tsarina and the Tsar. So the right-wing people in Russia at the time felt that he was a threat to the empire. And so they decided to do away with him. And it famously took quite a bit of doing. He was led into someone's basement and fed poisoned cakes. He ate 3 of them. They had cyanide in them. It did nothing. He then asked for some Madeira wine that had been poisoned in advance because he was a drinker. And that did nothing to him. And I believe they shot him 3 times. And then someone dressed up like him and went back to his apartment so that it'd be like an alibi, much like that Khashoggi thing. And they came back and he lurched at someone and attacked them. And so they wrapped him up in a sheet, or stabbed him and wrapped him up in a sheet and threw him up in the river, tied him up.
Yeah. That's
what it took.
So yeah, he's the original Mad Monk.
Yes. So he wasn't actually a monk. He was like you said, a charlatan. So he was a pilgrim, kind of wanderer type of like self-styled monk.
Yeah.
He kind of reminded me of like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Like essentially, that he just made friends with the Beatles and Donovan and whoever, and just was kind of like, this will give me my 15 minutes. Except this guy was running Russia, essentially.
Yeah.
And he sounds like he was a rotten dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He does not sound like a good dude. And yeah, his con worked. It got him all the way to the top.
It did. There's been several films made about him. The only one I've ever seen is the Hammer one starring Christopher Lee. That was not very good. But
yeah.
I remember that the ads for that always. That's why I read the cover like that. Was there was a really bad trailer you can find on YouTube where the guy reading the VO is just like, Rasputin, the Mad Monk. Come on down, kids. Get your Rasputin beards. They literally gave away fake beards at the theater to kids at the matinee.
I love it.
Or Guru the Mad. No, that's a different thing. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. So that's what we're bringing into this is some kind of dark thing. And Rasputin was said to worship Satan. I don't really think that had any historical fact, right? He was just a charlatan.
Yeah, he was just a con man. Like he probably didn't believe in anything. Like most con men, they're not gonna. They're not gonna pick one side or the other.
I love that concept though, that there is this kind of fascination in fiction and literature and stuff of the satanic priest, the satanic monk, whatever the opposite corruption is of the supposed absolute good, is always like an endearing concept.
Well, satanic panic rears its head, and it has for the last, I don't know how many thousand years or so. Every once in a while, society gets really afraid of the devil.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I think we're due.
I don't know. We had a nice run in the 80s with, them coming after D&D and like Unsolved Mysteries, and there was
backwards masking lyrics and
the
late 80s, 90s, early 90s was kind of the last good one.
It was the last good one. Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's enough digression from us. Let's dive into the issue.
All right. So, this is, as Matt said, Werewolf by Night 3. It was released in January 1st, 1973. And this one is, again, written by Jerry Conway, artist Mike Plug, inker Frank Chiaramonte. Then we have C. Jetter as the letterer and Stan Goldberg as colorist. And remember how last episode we were just like, oh, colorists aren't going to get credits forever. And guess what? They get a credit this issue and pretty much every issue after this. So not the first time I have been proven wrong by the following issue.
And I like to imagine that it's the coloring work on this title that created that standard.
Oh, let's just start that rumor.
Let it be. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And edited by Roy Thomas. And so the first page is just a full page spread with the title, The Mystery of the Mad Monk. And it's like we're looking in on what is later called the rectory. I call it an abbey a lot, but they somehow refer to it a few times as the rectory. So we're looking inside through a kind of stained glass window at Father Joquez, who is diligently at his desk. Looks like he is translating the Darkhold. It's a great, I love it. I love this illustration. I love the angle that we're coming at.
Nice Dutch angle there.
Yeah,
which
so cool.
Is always used to indicate something is off kilter. So you're already primed for something's not right here.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome first page.
So it starts off with some narrative text from Jack's point of view. And I thought this was interesting because it starts off at first. The first things are, I can well imagine how it began. And then he starts describing Father Joquez, the rain pattering on the window, him sitting there laboring over the translation. So this is already Jack's supposition of how this went down.
So can we say that this is a normal thing now, that a lot of the narration is going to be Jack after the fact recalling what happened?
Yes.
So that's pretty consistent now, right? That's been the last few issues?
It is a device that is employed regularly, definitely.
Okay.
And it calls into question, is there unreliable narrator issues at any point?
Yeah.
Although I trust Jack. He seems like a solid dude.
No, he is. He wouldn't lead us astray.
The next page is a great layout of Father Joquez. This is all still being narrated from Jack, just kind of talking about what he imagined happened. There's a close-up of Joquez, sweaty, just this kind of EC, fear-gripped, intense face with sweat dripping off of it. Then these tendrils of smoke start coming out of the Darkhold, and Joquez is not looking because he's looking away and thinking, and he doesn't see that this is manifesting. He slams the Darkhold shut, and the smoke starts coming out the closed book. And then he goes to the phone and starts calling, and you see over his shoulder this smoke rising up menacingly over his looming over him.
Yeah, I love those bottom two panels because there's no text, there's no balloons, so it's really striking and is really effective. They're kind of scary.
Yeah, it's great visual storytelling on this page. And I also like that in the panel where he slams the Darkhold shut, he's got one of those awesome 70s watch bands that's like 3 inches of leather. Remember those ones?
Yes.
That like Matthew McConaughey and Dazed and Confused would probably wear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's a cool priest.
He's totally a cool priest.
He'll rap with you, man. You having a hard night? Let's go down and get some coffee in the rectory. Maybe some Dale donuts.
He'll turn that chair around and sit in it bird style.
He almost made me
put you at ease.
Out. Hey guys, let's rap.
We next see that Jack has been at Buck's place in Venice for a few months now. Roy Thomas, as editor, makes sure that we know that means Venice in California, Natch. So I always love the editor aside boxes.
Me too.
They make me laugh every time. So, yeah, he receives a call from Father Joquez saying that he's finished the translation and says he's not a superstitious man, but thinks there's something unnatural going on here. So he then sees some ominous mist coming at him and cries out, "Madre de Dios!" And then the phone goes dead. And Jack's screaming for him, Father Joquez, says, but there was no answer. His phone was dead. Bottom panel, Jack is running out the door, ready to go save the day.
Okay. So how much of as a kid, did your like 5 survival phrases of other languages come from comic books? Like any German I know came from Nightcrawler or from like Invaders comics or something.
And all my Russian came from Colossus.
Like, yeah, so I'm saying like Gotten Himmel, or whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say all of them.
So Madre de Dios is right there in that really slim margin of Spanish that anybody writing Marvel comics at this time would know.
It's so awesome. I love it.
Okay, so Jack did bolt for the door, but he remembered to leave a note. I like that. He's responsible.
No, he is. He wants to let Buck know where he's going.
I can't imagine what happened to him in the past where it was like, in Arrested Development, and that's why you always leave a note. Because he's sprinting, but he stops leaving a note.
Yeah.
So what do you suppose Father Joquez thought Jack, why was he calling him? What can he do? Jack can't even read it.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that he knows Jack. I mean, I'm sure he feels Jack has some kind of weird connection to this book. And, it seems that after he finished translating it, it freaked him out. So, yeah, I think he's operating on panic now. And obviously for a good reason, because Mist came to get him.
Yes. Yeah. So Jack jumps coolly into Buck's convertible, peels off. He's going to what says Tagunga Canyon, but that's Tahunga, right?
Yeah, but is that like a fake Topanga Canyon? Because isn't where like
there really is a Tahunga Canyon.
Okay, there is a Tahunga Canyon. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's what Conway meant.
Oh, so it's spelled Tuj in
in real life.
And in 616 it's Tug.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. So he peels off and he's taken a sleeping pill. Did we talk about that? Did that come up yet?
No, yeah, we didn't talk about that. He just mentioned as an aside, I think in the phone call at the previous page that he had taken a sleeping pill, which we're kind of realizing that he was maybe trying to do that to see if he could stave off the transformation of First Night.
Yeah, I've tried that. It doesn't do anything. He'll probably just eat a whole bunch and not realize he ate a bunch. That's what I do.
And then I have really weird dreams.
Yeah, I have really weird dreams. So he's tearing off, and there's this crazy panel where he's looking up at the moon, just, really tense because he knows the change is coming on. And his hair's flipped up in this weird, he looks like Damon Hellstrom. Like he's got spit curls like devil horns.
He does. It's awesome.
And he realizes, even though he took that sleeping pill, It's not doing anything. The change is coming on, but he's also speeding through a canyon in a sports car. So we get this really awesome 3-panel transformation. Again, we say this every episode. Plug does not repeat, man. He does not half step. So we get one panel of Jack clutching the steering wheel furiously, staring right into the camera, into our eyes, and the moon's behind him. And then he's half changed in the next one and fully changed, howling while driving a sports car through a canyon.
It's so badass.
Werewolf at the wheel.
Yeah. So next page, first words of the narration box. First night. It'd been a month since I'd last shed my human skin. So yeah, basically Jack as the werewolf suddenly realizes he can't drive a car. And it's, speeding down this lonely mountain pass road. And so he just jumps out. He jumps out just before Buck's like super cool car careens off a fucking cliff and explodes. Look at the bottom. Jack's narration says, Buck's car was a total loss, but I've been thrown clear, and that was all that mattered.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm
What an asshole.
Jax might just be a bad penny kind of guy. I think Buck's probably going to rue the day that he met this dude pretty soon.
Yeah, he has to. I mean, he's got to be wearing on Buck's patience. Yeah.
Hey, can I stay here for 3 months and my sister and my girlfriend? You're cool with that, right?
Yeah. Let me fuck with your cornflakes and crash your car. Yeah, I know. No, he's a terrible house guest.
Yeah, and this place that he's driving through, I mean, if you've been to canyons outside LA, it's pretty burly, but it's like in North by Northwest, when they get Cary Grant drunk in the beginning and they just put him in the car and try and make him crash and die, right? Mm-hmm. It's like these precarious Hollywood mountainous hills. So the wolf has survived. And he just remembers the name Joquez. And so somehow that has come across from Jack to the Beast that's what he was doing. So he kind of remembers. And then we cut to the Russell estate where Alyssa is hanging out and she's overhearing her stepdad Philip talking on the phone. And he's getting heat from somebody about Grant. They're saying, hey, that Grant guy never showed up. And he's like, well, I gave him the cut of the money. I didn't get as much from her estate as I thought I would. And Alyssa's like, son of a bitch. Jack was right. So if you don't recall, Grant was the chauffeur that Philip, we believe, hired to cut the brake lines and kill Jack's mom so that he could get the money. And Jack, as his first wolf transformation, killed Grant in a pretty burly fight. She storms off to go to Buck's to tell Jack that he was indeed right and Philip is a turd.
Yeah, it's nice to know that Lissa knows the score with her stepdad now, that she knows Philip is not just, kind of a shitty stepdad, but probably was involved in her mother's death.
Right.
So no, that's good.
And again, remember, this is Jack telling us this.
Yes.
It gets a little convoluted at times.
It does, but it's like no, it's good. So So we see next that that Jack has arrived at the rectory monastery there. Yes, it's monastery. And then he's going through the courtyard, and it's kind of I wanted to read the narration for this in the middle page because I really loved Conway's writing here. It says the wolf has just reached the monastery. It says, for the shadow cast by the monastery wall was cold, chilling like the shroud of freezing ice, and the earth touched by that eerie shadow, dry and dead, crumbling in my fists, stinking from some unnatural decay. Deep in my animal's throat, I snarled on into a nightmare. He's going into the monastery and sees Father Joquez. But then Father Joquez is not Father Joquez. He is Alfric the Mad Monk, who has just jumped out at Jack and is holding the Darkhold up, saying, and the Book of Sins is mine.
Has it been referred to by that epithet yet? Is this the first time that's been called the Book of Sins?
Yep, it's absolutely the first time. So yeah, we see that, that Father Joquez has been possessed by someone named Alfric, the Mad Monk. His face is already kind of melty, like he's already kind of disfigured.
Yes.
So taking on the attributes of Alfric. So
that's maybe an indication of how strong of this magic is, that taking over his body or whatever, his soul, is actually making a physical manifestation as well. So this is a powerful force, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I
this
like
is
that.
serious business.
What did you make of that section you read when the Beast is doing that whole sequence there? Is the essence, is the presence of Alfric so negative that he's saying that the shadow cast by the monastery is unnatural and cold to the touch. Is that just Alfric's pure malevolence that's affecting his environment?
It seems like it, because in those middle panels, the werewolf is actually grabbing the soil and letting it fall through his hands, kind of feeling the evil that seems to be in that soil. So yeah, this is bad juju that's happening here. It's not great. Things are bad.
So the Beast is looking at Alfric holding the Darkhold up over his head, and then the scene kind of gets all wavy and shifty and changes, and he sees that we kind of see a dream sequence essentially, where the reality shifts, and we see into the past where Alfric was actually a monk, a hunchback monk. So he's a twofer. And he's saying that 800 years ago, he was a monk in this abbey in the Middle Ages, and he was revealed to be an actual Satan worshiper and not a true Catholic monk. And so he's run out on a rail by all the other monks, and they're saying, "Monster, monster, he mocks the Lord. He blasphemes the Savior himself."
Oh, man. Yeah, and so we realize on the next page, a soldier on a horse takes his sword and tries to cut Alfric's head off, but it does nothing. And so the soldier realizes that Alfric is a tool of the devil and says he must be burned at the stake. So Alfric disagrees and says, "But none may touch Alfric, for Alfric's power is over all." And this gray mist, shoots out from his hands, envelops the rider and horse, and completely melts their flesh to the bone. It's our first truly terrifying panel of the issue.
Yes, there's some badass magic there. We see that Alfric, when he did run, he was holding scrolls, which becomes important later.
Oh yeah, that is a big deal later.
The people, the villagers who are all upset and freaked out because the name Satan was uttered in the village, start running towards him, and they see that he melted the knight, and the knight was apparently their previous lord before the king, and so they owe some fealty to him. And they all attack Alfric, and he can't wave his arms to do his conjuration, so they pull him down, tie him to a stake, throw the scrolls on the fire, and burn him. And like in so many classic horror movies, we have the witch or the warlock or whatever burning and cursing the people as they're dying, saying, "Fools, nothing can harm me, nothing. I am the chosen of Lucifer. I am the sacred of Satan. Though your flames consume my mortal flesh, my eternal soul lives on." And as this is happening, his flesh is literally melting down his face. "And it will return and rule evermore." And I love that last panel with the red eyes and his skin just melting off like the Nazi and Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first one of those panels, but so many of these would be right at home in an issue of Tales from the Crypt or Haunt of Fear. A lot of the art and a lot of the panels in this issue really harken back to that Golden Age EC, just for pure terror, and just how terrifying they are.
Yeah. And this was kind of interesting, because at this point was in the issue is when I said, wait a minute, is this our first major flashback that didn't relate directly to Jack or his family? I mean, this is a pretty big, it's 4 pages, right?
Oh yeah, it keeps going. So no, I think it is. I think for either for a villain or an ancillary character, I think this is our first non-Jack flashback.
Yeah.
So yeah, next we see that that Alfric was burned to death. And there's these scavengers that start sifting through the ashes, and they find the scrolls that Alfric had in perfect condition. And then we go through this lengthy chain of custody panels that shows, down through the ages. And it says, and thus it began. The scholar was waylaid by an Arabian bandit who stole the sacred scrolls and found death in turn at the hand of his beautiful bride, who died years later hanged as a discovered witch. Then down through the centuries, the scrolls passed from hand to bloody hand until 35 years ago they came into the possession of a certain Balkan baron. His outfit is so awesome.
So we get to see Jack's dad again, and he has, a ripping outfit. He's also a fan of the pipe smoke, but he has one of those, what are those hats called? Like German hats with a little feather.
Tyrolean?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what we're talking about, like in European Vacation that the Griswolds wore when they did that awful dance of the Oktoberfest. Those things.
Yeah, just tell it to me in Griswold and I'll understand it.
But yeah, so this grizzled little woman sells this to Baron Rusoff, and now we see why we were told this entire thing. He continues this flashback, showing Jack this history of, again, the Darkhold, and the spells, the scrolls were bound into a perfect book, but that's the Darkhold, of course. Nice. And the Baron does the translation, and that freed a long hidden demon that was dormant in the Rusoff veins for nigh on 18 centuries, needing only a catalyst to break free. So somehow the lycanthropy that Jack suffers is something that is inherent in his being and in his lineage before magic was ever involved. So magic activated it.
Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting twist. I don't know. I mean, is this just going to be canon from now on, I wonder?
I think so. I don't know how much it comes up.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't come up a whole lot. I thought it was really cool, though. I thought that was a cool thing that Conway did, like just adding a nice little other wrinkle of how the Darkhold and Jack are entwined.
Yeah, I have no problem with this. This isn't like this spider totem or whatever Straczynski did.
No.
You know that?
Yes.
Like I don't mind retconning when it's okay. But Anyway, there's this great huge panel. We see Jack's father as he's reading the book, that narration I just read to you, twisting and, slowly changing. And then there's this great panel of this phantasm of his father as this huge snarling werewolf. And Alfred says, I almost had the strength to control your father's lupine form, Jack Russell, but not quite. And so he is here to finish what he started on that stake, which is destroy all of Earth's beings, essentially, in revenge for his death. And vengeance is his, and it will be sweet.
So I think this is our first villain that has, like, worldwide domination as his goal. Like, the rest of the villains have just been like, I want to steal Jack's power, or I want some money, but this guy's going all in.
Yeah, he's big. He's big time. Like, the other ones have been Apple Dumpling Gang, Yeah. Let's get that Darkhold. They don't know what they want to do with it, but this guy's like, I'm going to kill every living thing on the planet.
Yeah, send the world back into chaos.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jack's not too happy about this. He lunges toward Alfric, and the mad monk convokes a spell, saying some nonsense Latin-y sounding words. Which how would you pronounce those, Matt?
Nunco regi macorum, I would guess.
Yeah. Is it funny that if I read too much Satana that I wanted to see what those were backwards? Yeah. I instantly was just like, oh, are those words backwards? But no.
Funny. I didn't even go there.
Yeah. So with this nonsense spell, Alfric has, bound Jack's wrists to the wall, saying that he is doomed by the gray death. And so then we kind of cut and we go back to Buck's place and see Lissa come through the door looking for Jack. She finds the note that Jack left for Buck and heads to the canyon to find Jack. She's then stopped at a police roadblock and told all the roads are closed.
We get a pretty good sequence here coming up.
No.
She's talking to the state trooper about, my brother's through here. I have to go see him, and he's like, hey, if he's in there, he's dead because there's this weird gray mist and it's killing everything in the valley. And then we hear a scream. The trooper looks over, and there's another trooper who's standing there holding his gun by the blockade, and he's just instantly vaporized. He's just a skeleton. And it's the merciless gray death that Alfred has conjured. Lissa doesn't stand around too long. The other cop's like, holy shit, and looking at his coworker's skeleton in his uniform. And she jumps into the car. She has another convertible, and she peels off and eludes the blockade.
Yeah, you're right. Everyone has convertibles. Well, I guess it is Southern,
They are wealthy, yeah.
LA. So yeah, and everyone's really wealthy. And Plug draws, Plug draws a great, Plug draws a great convertible too. So yeah, Buck's probably wasn't as nice as Lissa's, but still pretty nice.
Yeah, I think everybody has convertibles in Southern California. I think that's it's just how nice it is the variance. Yeah.
We're Pacific Northwest boys. We don't understand that. I don't like people have convertibles. That's so weird.
It is.
So Lissa arrives at the monastery and runs across the courtyard where she realizes that there's a night watchman for this monastery, and he is chasing after her, gun drawn for some reason.
Yeah.
But when she turns to face him, she sees the guard stop and kind of clutch his chest, and then his face melts off.
In a horrifying panel.
It's a really terrifying, that's an actually scary panel. It's disquieting. I mean, it's body horror.
Yeah, that's full body melt, body horror stuff.
Yeah, it's really terrifying.
Well done, Mr. Plug. So Alfred intercepts her almost immediately and says, your presence is a most unexpected blessing, I assure you. And then he reveals to her that you must, or she kind of feigns that he's carrying her. And, or am I getting ahead of myself? Sorry. Oh, yeah, he says, so I assume this to be your sister, Jack Russell, for were she not, the Great Death would have taken her life as well. So the Russells have some type of immunity to whatever this is. And he carries her off past the werewolf, who is still bound to the wall by the magic manacles. And the beast starts flipping out. But he says, the beast inside me didn't recognize the girl in the Mad Monk's arms, but someone else did. Someone buried within a werewolf's raging form. I thought the beast would remember her after that momentous. Remember when she was tied up to a chair at Buck's, and the beast, they're 2 inches apart from each other's faces, and he's like,
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he would remember. He would remember that. He's referred to her as girl in previous issues. So yeah, no, he knew. But he's upset at the time. I
think he's angry.
His hands have melted into a wall, so he's not feeling so great. Yeah. I totally get it.
I get it too.
So he freaks out and then frees himself and heads inside, sees Alfred standing over an unconscious Lissa. And I thought this was interesting. Alfred mentions that Jack senses a mystical affinity between them all, for Alfred's disfigurement and you and your sister's curse. So this is pretty cool. This is a momentous event. We kind of are confirmed that, Lissa probably has some sort of form of the curse. We haven't seen it yet, but it's nice foreshadowing for things to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, right, that makes sense because it's not – you could think, well, Jack has it because his father did. Maybe it's the males of the line, but now that she has a magical affinity as well, she's probably a lycanthrope, but she's only 15.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. So you have to hit 18 to have the curse start.
Correct.
So this was, it's what happens next is really badass, but it kind of jumped the shark for me a little bit because Alfred is he's monologuing again about his plan to plunge the world back into primitive chaos, and he decides to summon a protector whose name is Dragonus, who's like a minotaur. He's the guy from the cover. But it's like a minotaur, and he's kind of in a similar outfit to the soldier who originally attacked Alfred 800 years ago.
Oh,
there's at least similar colors, and so that I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and rubies and stuff. There was rubies on the knight's sword and some of his armor.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought
this guy's a ruby on his belt. Huh.
Yeah, it was an interesting parallel I thought that Plug was drawing, but also it's such a ridiculous illustration. It's just,
Right.
This was, I mean, and I love this issue. I mean, this issue is totally fucking insane, but I love it. And I do love it, but this is where it jumps the shark. This is where you're like, oh, what?
Yeah. So he's fully, man body, like He-Man, Muscle Man, with a little too fancy armor on and a fur loincloth. And his head looks like a mask, like a bull's mask, but it's not. It's animate.
Yes.
So he sicks him on the beast. Alfred sicks him on the beast. And he takes his battle axe and they start fighting. And the beast just chomps on his forearm pretty damn hard. And then he gets flipped over by Dragonus.
I can't even say it with a straight face. It's really hard to.
It is.
He's so stupid. But yeah, I do love that panel when Jack is just chomping on his forearm.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely the best panel here. So next page, Jack seems to kind of get the upper hand on Dragonus, holding his jaws shut and like kind of trying to break his neck. But Dragonus flips him around and slams Jack on the ground.
This is all happening right in front of the altar of the main part of the church. And in so doing, the momentum that Dragonus used to throw Jack down on the ground, he propels him forward, and he trips over the werewolf and flies into Alfric, and somehow he says, "No, you misbegotten fool, no!" And somehow the magic is undone by that. And so Dragonus disappears in a mist of vapor. Alfric is down for the count. And the beast starts thinking a familiar chorus at this point. Why am I here? What keeps me away from the forest? Air is foul, stinks worse than the city. Don't want to stay here. Want to run, to hunt, to kill in the forest. But there was more, a grim, fateful denouement. He's looking down at Lissa, unconscious.
Yeah, and then we basically see the mad monk's spirit, Alfric's spirit, leaving Father Joquez. And the mad monk was dying, and more changing, becoming once more the man I'd call Father Joquez, which he says, "Father in heaven, forgive me. I had no idea that evil truly existed, that Satan in truth ever walked the earth." So he has a nice little dying speech there. And yeah. I like the narration. It says, Jack Russell would have cried, but I was too busy. It's no tears from the werewolf. So basically, poor Father Joquez, champion of the migrant worker, translator of the Darkhold, seemed like a really stand-up dude, has died.
I like that the narration continues. And besides, what was a dead priest to me?
Yeah.
And then there's a little thing that was kind of an odd phrasing here in the next part. What were words of a final belated devotion to a man who walked like a wolf? Is it just me, or is he a wolf that walks like a man? He's fully erect in human form. He's not a man who walks like a wolf. He'd be down on all fours.
Well, bear crawl. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I think that probably should be switched around a little bit.
Yeah. So the last we see, the beast is carrying Lissa off into the mountains, right?
Yeah, it's that great last panel.
It's a beautiful panel.
Yeah, it really is. Of Jack carrying Lissa off, the mountains, the moon's behind. And I love the final words of the issue. And so ended the second night.
And so ended issue 3.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on this issue?
Well, there's no letters page this month, guys. So
really? Oh, that is disappointing.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this one's tough for me because I really like the Mad Monk concept. I like Father Joquez. I like a priest being exposed to something completely evil and whatever. I don't know how much I like Alfric as a concept. I do like what Alfric does. I think that the gray, what was it? Gray Doom? Gray Mist. Yeah. That's cool. And Plug got to draw some really horrifying things in here. But, Alfric's
Yeah,
he's just out there in the woods. Okay.
He's the evil that men do.
So I want to talk about this last episode, but we didn't, is that up to this point, this character has had that, you know how in superhero movies, they always kill off the villain because they can't, when they made Spider-Man 1, they're like, we don't know how many Spider-Man movies we're going to make, so let's just do the entire Green Goblin saga in one movie and kill them off.
Yeah.
And so there's never a villain standing at the end of any superhero movie. That's been how these have been up until now. This is the first time that something that has come up against Jack has escaped in some form or another to possibly return.
So do you think that's the norm in, second or third tier books, which this was compared to, the giant sellers at Marvel? Like,
right.
Like, how do you think that works on these books? Would they need much more approval to get like an ongoing villain, or are they just kind of under the edict right now of like a one and done?
I wonder if that's editorial at all. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I almost, from what I've read, it seems like for these lower tier books, they're kind of just able to do whatever the fuck they want. Like they're not, from what I've read, that doesn't seem to be as much editorial influence as there would be on, like, let's say Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
Or something like that, like on the Moneymaker books.
Right. That's interesting because, I mean, they said in that one of the first letters that I read, they had someone alluded to the fact that in the first issue that we read, they had said we're not going to have the Beast come up against Spider-Man, or we're not going to have a bunch of superheroes in here because we're going for a different tone. So that makes sense. But as far as like, I mean, that's why I'm saying this. That's why the Wrecking Crew hasn't come through Malibu yet, right? Because they're not crossing streams really.
No.
Yet.
Yet. Which is a good thing. It's good that this
yes.
story gets to exist in its own universe, and you're not like, oh, there's Kraven the Hunter coming by for a visit.
Yeah. And I wonder how much of this is just them having a chance, with the loosening of the code. Like, we can kill as much as we want. I mean, our hero can kill people.
Honestly, like this book, as far as body count and panels of horror, like this is the biggest over the code that Marvel has stepped yet, really.
I mean, Tomb of Dracula is 3 issues ahead at this point. Well, always, because when it started. But I mean, obviously he had a pretty high body count.
Yeah, definitely. But there was something that, for the parts of this issue that really worked, that terror was really there. Like we were saying, the old EC style, Johnny Craig, Graham Engels style of just like a body horror, especially reminded me of Graham Engels. Like the faces melting off page, like that was absolutely inspired by that.
Yeah, and I don't think that any of the other titles in this wave of horror books would have that. I mean, that would be creepy or something, or definitely in Skywald, which was much more lurid. But yeah, I think that's definitely outstanding level of horror in the strictest code definition in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the black and white magazines at this point weren't under the code, so they could do whatever the fuck they wanted. But as far as like code approved Marvel story, this is pushing boundaries.
Definitely. And I don't quite get Dragonus as an artistic choice.
No, Dragonus makes no sense.
I understand Conway's bind in the sense that Alfric is all intellect, all whatever, no muscle, and so there's not a lot to do with the werewolf without introducing muscle. So I understand its need in to have a physical confrontation, but the fact that he looks like a Thundercat with a bull head, you know what I mean, or whatever, Thundar. It's very sword and sorcery. His lower regions are very Conan-y, like even more fantabulous than Conan. Like Conan looks grounded and real compared to this.
Yeah, it really does. But it does follow. Having Draconus come in follows the formula of there being a bad guy and then there being the muscle. Like that's kind of been the formula for these last few arcs.
True. Grant, Garth, Strug.
Oh, poor Strug.
Poor that son of a bitch. Yeah, you're right. There has been a lot of muscle.
Yeah, so it's a formula right now that's working, and the book is in its infancy, so they're going to want to keep those readers coming in with that formula that's worked, that drew readers to the book in the first place. So I get it.
Yeah, I can imagine that when the letters from this issue pour in, I imagine there's probably some feedback saying, "Hey guys, spread your wings a little bit because the cat box is full right now."
Yeah. Still so entertaining, though.
Yeah. What did you think of Plug's art? And this is a new ink. Was this Frank?
No, this is Frank Chiamarte.
Still Chiamarte. Sorry. Thinking about the next issue. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, next issue we get a different inker. But I thought this was really good. I don't think it was as strong as his first two.
I don't either. I think the panels that worked were gorgeous, but this felt like there was a little bit of rush here and there. There was some kind of sketchier stuff that was looser, kind of almost more. I'm trying to think who would compare it to. Not Colin, but like there was just some like really kind of loose stuff where the inker just kind of got a little room to work. I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was. Well, yeah. I mean, it's our first. It's a mixed bag art-wise, this issue. The stuff that works is incredible, as always, and the stuff that doesn't is just like, eh. But a high bar was set those last two issues. So
yeah, and I'd rather see Plug on a mediocre day than most people on their best around this time of artists.
Yeah.
So that's that. We don't do a grading or anything here, so we don't need to.
No.
to do a final judgment, but I think that we're on the same page more or less.
Yeah, my favorite moment definitely was the transformation. Just the three panels. And then realizing that third panel, just a werewolf driving a car, is just so cool. Yeah. And then I did love the panel right after that where it's a werewolf finally realizing he's driving a car, and it's just like, oh shit. Like his hands go up, like he gets really freaked out. So I thought the juxtaposition between those two panels made me laugh really hard.
Yeah, that would be mine, but I'm not going to use yours. I'll think of something else. I guess on a not funny note or wild or whatever, that Night Watchman melting is horrific. So I think that would be my favorite moment of the episode. Definitely, it is shocking, and I will include that in the Instagram when I post this for sure.
Yeah, you should. It definitely conjured back those feelings of you and I going to the Hollywood and seeing the Richard Stanley movie.
Oh, Color Out of Space.
When we went and saw the Color Out of Space and some of those more body horror parts in that movie, which was awesome, right?
Yeah, I liked it.
I thought it was great.
I just based on the Lovecraft source, I did not expect that much body horror. I knew there was body horror, but I did not expect some of it to go where it went, that Stanley took it. So I am a little queasy with body horror stuff. So I was a little unsettled the rest of that evening, but yeah, that's okay. That's what horror's for, right?
It is. So how do you do with like the level of body horror that's like in the Immortal Hulk right now?
It also is really unsettling.
It is, right?
I'm reading, I think, volume 5, the Earthbreaker or whatever it is collection. So,
oh my God, it's so good.
It's Fortean's final form. It's a kind of a culmination of the title so far, it seems like. But yeah, I mean, there's so much body horror. There's when they go to the place, what's it called, the place down below or whatever it's called, like. There's all these reanimated corpses of loved ones walking around with their eyes sockets hollow and talking to you, and
it's so scary.
And Hulk, since they've embraced the whole immortal part, they've been really putting him through the shredder, basically. I mean, it gets pretty gory.
It gets really gory. Like, it's really an effective horror book. And I know you and I have talked about this a lot before, but how awesome someone's actually really taken the Hulk character to a horror book.
Yeah. It's a trip, and I'm loving every goddamn panel of it. It's so fun. It's probably my favorite book right now that I'm reading.
Have you gotten to the end of that collection yet?
No.
The Pure of Worlds? Oh, man.
No.
Oh, my God. The last issue there is so good. It's probably the best issue of the series.
No, I'm about halfway through, and I'm actually, I'm really bad. I'm reading it digitally through the library. So I'm really bad about just pulling something down. Like I'll get I'll read like New 52 Flash or one of these titles like that or something, and I'll just plow through them sometimes in one sitting, an entire trade. So half the time I'll turn it back in virtually and not even barely remember anything except for a couple plot points. But this one I am parceling out. Like I do not want to blow through it. I don't want to read it when I'm tired, right before bed. I make a point of reading it in the daytime so I can enjoy it and my brain's actually fresh. Like I'm loving it that much. It's a treat.
Yeah, I think it's become one of my favorite modern comics in recent history. Like it's just so good. I get the floppies. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So I get them every 2 weeks, and they are incredible.
I don't read much from the big two because of just event fatigue.
Yeah.
The running joke of nothing will be the same until 3 months from now when nothing will be the same again. Make sure you get all the tie-ins and one-shots. I burned out about 10 years ago on that around Dark Reign, I think. Or Fear Yourself, something like that. But so it's nice when that Marvel gave Ewing, I don't know how he pitched this. I don't know where this guy, I don't know this guy's stuff outside of this work. Maybe you can tell me what else he's done, but I can't believe that he went to editorial at Marvel and said, here's what I want to do with the Hulk book. And he pitched, I imagine any pitch is probably the first 4 or 5 issues in script form, or at least in treatment, scriptment. And I can't believe they read that and said, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it with one of our most beloved and oldest characters. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with anything Al Ewing had written before this. So, I know he got a lot of work, but he wasn't a superstar, I don't think. But this book, they've given him tons of other stuff now since he's working on the new Guardians of the Galaxy. I think he wrote a lot of that last crossover Empire, whatever had happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get event fatigue. It's a real thing. The only Marvel books I read monthly now are The Immortal Hulk. I am really liking Jonathan Hickman's X-Men. I think it is actually really different. So it's that's been really fun to read. And Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, which is great.
How long has Zdarsky been writing Daredevil?
Like 22 issues or something.
That's the thing about being a trade guy, right? Like I'm literally 2 years behind everyone who's current. It's really frustrating.
No, that's there's so few things that are positive about having to buy floppies because you're like, oh, I pay way more than I would for the trade. There's ads, and all that stuff, which, I cancel all that out by being like, no, it's worth it to go into my local shop, give them money. I love doing this stuff. I love supporting my shop, which is Excalibur. I love Debbie. So that's why I keep buying the monthlies, but it's tough sometimes. But not recently with Marvel because all the shit is really good.
Yeah. So Daredevil, Immortal Hulk, what was the other one?
Just the
X-Men
title. Yeah.
Did you read Hickman's FF?
I'm going back and reading some of it now that have Marvel Unlimited.
I feel like that divides people.
It's okay.
Or rather, yeah, I guess it's not a love hate. I feel like people say it's okay, or people passionately love it and say it's up there with, Byrne and Jack and Stan. Like they get really hyperbolic about it, but it's one of the two. It's lukewarm or passion.
I've also gone back at the same time, and I'm reading Byrne's run of the FF, and it is really awesome. Like it's so good.
It is.
And, I think I really like Hickman's concepts in his FF run. I think they're some of the most radical and cool. Like just they really go all out. I haven't connected with the art. I can't remember who does the main art for his run, but I haven't connected with it. It doesn't yeah, it's just not. It's not for me.
Okay. I think the last Fantastic Four I read was at the start of the pandemic. I think I read Waringo's. Who wrote that? Wade? Is that Wade and
Yeah.
Mike Waringo?
Yep.
Which is like late 90s, early aughts. And it seemed like they really embraced like what made the family work, like the family dynamic and just that kind of bright, fun stuff, which I was really nice during the start of COVID. It was nice to have just something that felt really happy and bright. But yeah, I've never been a huge FF guy for some reason. I don't know why.
I really gave it a go this last year. I reread the entire Kirby run. And yeah, there's stuff I really like about it. It's still not my favorite book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool going back and reading the Silver Age, issues and like the Galactus arc and like the stuff that's really famous. And it's famous for a reason. And, Kirby's Kirby. What more can you say about that guy? Like, I mean, that hasn't already been said 1,000 times. He's a genius. And so it's when he's on, like, it's incredible.
Yeah. Who were the stewards of FF through the 70s?
God, I'm not really sure.
Is there a reason that goes Kirby and Byrne essentially? Because it was just kind of a.
I think so. I had heard that Simonson had a decent run.
Simonson?
Yeah, if
really?
I'm correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And
wow.
I'm always down for some Walt Simonson.
Yeah.
Like, his Thor run is my favorite Thor run.
Yeah, I think it's the only Thor run I've really loved.
Yeah, I mean that's probably everyone's favorite Thor run.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Definitely. So what about media-wise, mixed media?
Well, I'm trying to keep on the werewolf film train. So the last one, so this week I watched 1935's Werewolf of London.
Nice.
And it's such a better movie than The Wolfman.
It is.
It's Universal.
Yeah. So is that Jack Pierce? Did you check if that was Jack Pierce?
Jack Pierce did the makeup. And yeah, he had to actually, I was reading about it, he had to dial back what he wanted to do for the makeup because the actor Henry Hull wanted to still
be
at
visible.
Least be visible as an actor, recognizable. Yeah. So, but I actually think that really worked.
Actors.
Yeah, I know. Fucking actors.
I love the makeup of that version.
Oh, it's
I
awesome.
think it's so cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. The story's kind of weird. Like he's a botanist that travels to Tibet to like track down
the Himalayas. Or
yeah.
Something. Yeah, it's been a while, but
it's a plant called the Mariphasa. And he gets bitten by a werewolf doing this. So basically, like the blossoms of these plants can act as a temporary antidote to lycanthropy. It's not a cure, but it'll stop the transformation. So I liked that. I thought that was really cool.
Who wrote the screenplay? Do you recall offhand? Anybody you knew?
That was no one I recognized.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a better film overall. Like it seemed to have a bigger budget, actually, weirdly enough, than the later Wolfman. It reminded me more of a James Whale or a Todd Browning production than like kind of the schlocky B picture that the Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr. was. Like,
yeah. I wonder when the Universal horror cycle kind of peaked as far as like the studios buy into the production value and they started officially kind of saying it's B now, guys.
Well, I mean, just from watching the Big Five, I mean, I think the Wolfman is the weakest movie. I think it's weaker than The Invisible Man, The Mummy.
Oh yeah.
Like it's the one. Like the Universal horror collection that we have on DVD has like the Big Five. And yeah, the Wolfman is easily the worst.
I think the Mummy's the slowest, but I think it's a better film. Like
yeah, oh absolutely.
Cinematography wise and yeah.
No, I mean no, the Wolfman has, it's more akin to, the production value. I mean not really, but it's more closer to I Was a Teenage Werewolf than it is to Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept that.
Yeah, I don't want to shit on the Wolfman because, I love Lon Chaney Jr. and he's a big cuddly teddy bear, but
he's a big lug.
He is a big lug. He even talks like it too. He's a palooka. He's a big palooka.
He is a palooka. Well, I didn't make it through what I was going to watch. I was previewing some stuff, looking for bad Wolfman movies for Jacob and I to possibly do a That's Cool, That's Trash episode, which is another podcast that I've retired. But I thought I'd do a special episode with the Wolfman thing to kind of let some folks know that we're doing this show over here if they want to check it out. And what I was previewing, I looked on IMDb's worst werewolf page, and Monster Dog from the, I don't know, 84, I'd say, was up there, and it's an Italian film, and they got Alice Cooper fresh out of rehab trying to kind of jumpstart his career, and for some reason he thought this would be a good idea to do a monster werewolf movie, and he only did it under his assurances of his manager or whatever, the producers, that this would not be shown outside of the Philippines or anywhere in Southeast Asia. This was an isolated train wreck. So he said, sure, I'll do it then. And then it got distribution throughout everywhere. I remember seeing the VHS box in my parents' convenience store and the rentals. I mean, we had a poster for it. It was a big, video. I don't think it had a theatrical release at all, but this is when everything was coming out in VHS, just, anything. So the fact that it had Alice Cooper in it and they paid somebody to paint this bizarre poster, it was already like, well, now we got to distribute it. But, yeah, it's something. I was really tired. I had to work all weekend, and I was kind of one of those, end of the day, falling asleep, sitting up kind of things. So I think I made it 20 minutes in and started nodding off. So I turned it off. So I'm going to come back to it with fresh eyes, but there was promise. Everybody else was dubbed, which is already comedy gold for me for the most part, it had promise. So I'll come back to it. So Monster Dog. It's on Tubi TV. If anybody wants to get ahead of us, check it out. There's quite a few Wolfman movies on Tubi, actually. You use Tubi?
Stills. Yeah, I do. Yeah, the stills you sent me of that movie looked really hilarious.
Yeah, so it starts off with an Alice Cooper music video. And I'm not a huge Alice Cooper fan. I can dig a little bit here and there, but it's a terrible song. And it's one of those, 80s music videos. So I think the premise is that he's going to he's a rich guy. His name's like Vincent Dark or Vincent Bat or something. And he's going back to he's from a rich family that has this big estate, a castle. And he's going back to shoot a music video there because they can't quite get a good music video or something. And that's where the Wolfman stuff happens. But, yeah, really bad music. Like where he, in the 80s, he had to act out everything, every lyric. So he's like, sometimes I feel like Billy the Kid, and then he's got six guns. Sometimes I feel like Sherlock Holmes, and he's got the deer hunter cap on. And sometimes I feel like Jack the Ripper, and he has a bloody butcher knife. It's awful.
See, I want to check it out because I'm not a fan of Alice Cooper's music, but I am a fan of his acting. And I mean this for real because I'm a big fan of the Snoop Sisters, which is one of the NBC mystery movies.
You have talked to me about the Snoop Sisters several times.
My God. I just and no one knows about it. And of course, I wasn't alive when it was out, but I've gone back and found it, and it's incredible. And yeah, he's in an episode, and it's my favorite thing ever. He plays the Satanist lounge singer. Wow. Oh man. Yeah, he's great. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through his filmography now.
It shouldn't take you too long. Where does one find the Snoop Sisters if they were interested in checking some out?
They're on YouTube. All the episodes are on YouTube. I think there's only like 6 or 8 episodes total.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess full disclosure, I found out about the Snoop Sisters because my lovely wife got me the complete DVD set of Macmillan and Wife.
Oh, right.
And it was a bonus DVD in the Macmillan and Wife box set. We really like the NBC mystery movies. Like I remember seeing them in reruns. Like, I was born in 1977, so it's like I don't have like actual memories of watching those when they were on. But, I'm pretty sure KPTV here in Portland would run some of those when I was a little kid here. So I have some memory of those NBC mystery movies, but they're all gold. I love them.
Yeah, I don't remember those really that well either, but I feel like I have genetic memory of them somehow.
So this is a very localized question, but like down in Coos Bay where you were growing up, did you get KPTV?
Oh
down
yes,
there?
God yes,
okay.
God yes.
Okay. Because that's how you were able to watch Ramblin' Rod, right?
Yes,
Like
every morning.
All right, all right. Sorry, everyone. This is getting really Portland specific here.
Anyway, so Monster Dog was my Wolfman thing.
Nice. Now I'm gonna try and keep doing it. I know I'm not. I always prefer to go chronological in things. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but I'm gonna start moving ahead chronologically with the werewolf films.
Okay.
So I think my next one would be what came out right after the Wolfman? What's the next wolf
Frankenstein
werewolf
meets
movie?
Universal or General?
Universal. I think it would be Frankenstein
meets the Wolfman.
Right? Meets the Wolfman. Yeah. Okay.
I really like that one. Like that's when they kind of are like, fuck it, let's just make it like a comic book.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm excited for that then.
I mean, it's pretty pulpy and just kind of like, breakneck, whatever, just kind of do your thing. The rules kind of bend,
Yeah.
I mean, how many times does this guy die? He got shot with a silver bullet.
So many times.
As far as business, we are coming to the end of our sign-off competition. So we're asking folks, if this is your first episode, this is what's going on. We're trying to find a way to get out of this show. When we end, we can't stop. We just keep babbling. So we want to have a sign-off so that way we both know we're done and we stop talking. And we're asking for submissions. People are sending theirs in. Working for a pithy, kind of clever werewolf-themed way to end the show. If you send it to us through Instagram at Werewolf by Night Podcast with the underscores between all the words, or on Twitter at Werewolf Podcast, if we pick your submission, we will be sending you a Werewolf by Night shirt of one of 6 prints in your size to your house as a thank you. Isn't that a great prize? Isn't that a great prize?
I think it's a totally great prize. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so we have decided we're going to end issue 5's episode with the sign off. So I will have to make a decision in the next 2 weeks. So you have 2 weeks from when this drops to send one in.
Well, there's a couple contenders.
Yeah, there's some contenders. I have some things I'm leaning towards. I haven't decided how we're going to decide because we're co-hosts and there's 2 of us. So there's no tiebreakers. But anyway, we'll do something like vote on our 3 we like best or something like that. And then if there's crossover, that's the one that wins or something. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Then a runoff. Yeah. So there's that. Also, we're looking for reviews of the show. We appreciate when everybody shares the show and recommends it on Instagram and stuff like that. It's super awesome. Thank you so much. But we're looking for reviews on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever, where you can leave a review of the show. It doesn't have to be positive. This isn't, like Yelp where we're going to be bribing people to do stuff. This is real. We just want real reviews. So if you leave a review and you take a screenshot of it and you send it to us at Instagram or Twitter, you go into a pot. And once we get 10 of those, we will pick one out and I will send a random Bronze Age monster comic to you as a thank you. That's great.
That's a pretty great incentive.
I was posting about some oddball stuff I like today on Instagram. Because as a kid, I remember thinking that Marvel Premiere, Marvel Spotlight, all of those tryout books had some cool stuff in them that I thought was neat. And then the characters never got any traction and then disappeared for the most part. And some of those things I really liked. Like 3D Man, I don't like 3D Man. He's not good. But there was this one that premiered in, I think, Dead of Night, which got axed really soon, and then he came to Marvel Premiere, was Scarecrow. Have you ever read Scarecrow? Where he comes to a magic painting, and he's like a demon, but he's a good demon, and he exists solely to protect the world from this cult of another demon that's trying to infest and take over Earth.
Yeah, I have read that. I have a few issues of Dead of Night. I wonder if I have one of those.
You might have the first appearance. I think it's Dead of Night number 11, if I recall. But I read the Marvel Premiere one, his second appearance, and I think it was meant to be a Dead of Night, like number 12, and it got cut. But yeah, he doesn't talk. He just laughs, and he's just this magical thing. At some point, they brought him back around 91. I don't remember when, is it Doctor Strange? Tales. What was the thing that was half Doctor Strange, half Cloak and Dagger in the early 90s? I like that.
Shit.
Astonishing Tales? Or,
yeah, it was Astonishing Tales. You're right.
It was either on that or something like that, but they brought him back and they didn't want to confuse people with the villain, the Marvel villain Scarecrow, so they renamed him Straw Man. But he had some, because he was a interdimensional demon, essentially, he fit in Doctor Strange's world. So he did appear here and there, but he kind of just seemed like this character that languished. So I was posting about how I wished that they'd done something with him. I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
Another one was Wood God I was posting about. Do you remember Wood God?
No, but I loved the pic you posted of that. It was hilarious.
I think that's a Kirby cover. I could be wrong. I felt like it was an odd Kirby cover, but yeah, I think he's something made by Project Pegasus or the High Evolutionary. I can't remember what he is, but he's a man-made, test tube satyr essentially. And he gets out of whatever world he's in, like a little isolated bubble of scientists, and he's horrified by our world.
Don't you feel like sometimes it was a go-to, like when they were creating these weird, like kind of one-offs? So just like, oh, what's his origin? Oh, let's just say he was made by the High Evolutionary. Yeah. Like, let's just do that.
Yeah, it's easy.
It's so easy.
All right. Well, great time talking about a mixed bag issue with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Mixed bag, but still pretty awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But yeah, I love the batshitness of it and the devil may care kind of approach to what happened in it, but definitely had some issues. And there was a little bit of a shark that was jumped for sure.
A little bit.
So we'll be back for issue number 4 in a week. And if you had submitted a winning sign-off right here, this is where I would say blah, 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 and then the theme song would come in, and that episode would be done. But right now, you're hearing this horse shit. So send something in. Fix it.
Well, I'll just take our what we normally fade out to say that Matt wrote and performed our theme song. I don't think he's taking credit for that, and it's really good. I really love it. So let's hear that.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Werewolf.